go.
AB on the track, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello. What's going on today? We are here at Medusa Talks Movement on this lovely Monday, right now.
It is Monday.
Yes, I know. I'm sitting here with the amazing Shaquira Robinson as well as Topher Larkin. They are of Zero Pinellas, and we're going to be talking about some community awareness and some acts of service today through their organization. I'm so excited and honored to have y'all.
Thank you.
Yes. So, tell me a little bit about Zero Pinellas and what you guys, have going on as an organization.
So Zero Pinellas is a collaborative project here in Pinellas County, and it is a grant-funded project that started in 2018. So there are 6 different organizations that are involved: Metro Wellness, Epic, Impact, the Department of Health, Daycare, Pinellas Clinic, AHF, and the AIDS Institute. So what we're doing is our goal is basically to reduce HIV transmissions, and we're doing that through HIV testing, PrEP, awareness campaigns through digital and social, as well as case management services for those who are HIV positive. So we want to make sure that people are, one, learning their status, 2, the importance of knowing your status and how it affects those around you, but also getting into care for those who are positive. So and staying in care, because that's
I mean, really, it's having that conversation, getting community involved. It's destigmatizing everything. So the most that we can do to just elevate that conversation and talk about it, that's what we're here for.
Awesome. And it's great to have, you guys in the organization because there is a unspoken stigma, or even a spoken stigma. I'll go ahead and say that. And I feel like when people know that there are resources around and people like you guys that they can talk to and learn information about, it really sets a comfortable tone, I would say, definitely. So what is the overall mission for Zero Pinellas?
So the mission is, like we said, to reduce new HIV transmissions within Pinellas County. Pinellas County is one of 7 counties in Florida with the highest HIV rates. So HIV is very much real. It's very much here. And it proportionally affects the Black community. So what we want to do is to make sure that in the process of this grant that we get the community to a point where we're now, like you said, destigmatizing language around HIV, just having those conversations. But we want to normalize that, but people will be willing to go get services and go get tested and have those conversations. So then that all leads to a reduction in HIV transmission, because we have to do the work to end it.
Absolutely. And so would you say that would be success, to lower the rates and to, inform?
Yeah, so we operate with the 90-90-90. So 90% of persons in Pinellas County to know their HIV status, 90% of those persons who are positive to be into care, and those who are in care to be retained into care but reach a suppressed viral load, which means that they're no longer they're undetectable. So they can't transmit HIV to others because they're taking their meds, they're retained into medical care.
And as Shaquira was saying, to increase that testing to get out there and bringing, we have mobile testing there, so we can go out into the community, go to places where if they're not coming, obviously we're in a COVID era, so it's hard to bring people, but we can come to you and make it accessible to as many people as possible.
Awesome. Now, how responsive would you say, because I know you guys do a lot of events and, again, awareness, how responsive is the community thus far to your action, to what Zero Pinellas has going on?
Good question. I think, well, given the tenure of the project and seeing the growth, I think now people who are within the healthcare industry and who are within community partnerships are learning the name. So I'm glad to see that people are, and I was like, oh, I've heard of y'all, or oh, I know so and so, or I know this agency is a part of that. So we're getting that recognition, which and creating new partnerships and wanting to work with other people. But as far as the community, when it comes to testing, I think just HIV is such a tough subject depending on if it's the Black community, if it's the Latinx community, if it's, the LGBTQ plus community, the conversation looks different. So I think that the way they receive us is different. And we have challenges about getting people to just come up to and talk to us. The minute they hear HIV, some people are like, oh no, that has nothing to do with me. That's like it has a lot to do with you and your community, actually. So I think that it looks case right.
Same. I mean, I have a background in community testing, so I sat at those tables, and people they pick up a lot of things from somewhere else. They see your table, HIV. Oh no, that's not for me. So already there is that stigma, there's that taboo out there, and so we kind of want to be able to break it down. Like, okay, what's not for you? Well, do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? Here are some free condoms. Here are places to get tested. So that conversation can always be there. It's just a matter of how that one individual wants. So that is kind of our goal, is really to, all it takes is one conversation, to be able to just hook them into getting them the care that this is happening in their very community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is important on all the stuff, like you said. It doesn't necessarily always have to do with the specific individual, but it's about the community as a whole, your family, your partners, your friends, your schoolmates. It's the collective. So I really commend you guys for the work that you do and the knowledge that you bring forth and the resources that you bring forth for the community. How long has Zero Pinellas been a part of the Pinellas?
So we started July 2018. We've been going for 2 years. Continuing to work, but even after this project, and we want it to be where, like I said, the community is now so comfortable with having a conversation or recognize the agencies who are part of this collaborative to be able to access those services. And I think that's the biggest thing. We can break down the stigma of like, why don't we access these services? And then people are willing to access them.
Awesome. Now, I know in the past week, you guys had a very eventful time with, the community and different things that you guys have been doing. Can we kind of talk about that?
Sure, yeah. So December 1st is World AIDS Day. It's one of the most, globally recognized health awareness day that there is out there. And so it's celebrated every year on December 1st. Of course, this year, as with everything, looks a little bit different. So we still wanted to honor the tradition and the memories of those who have come before, through what passed before, and just have been part of the HIV and the activism community. So we assembled our team of people to create these educational videos that we decided to release starting on World AIDS Day and lasting for a week. Dealing on different topics such as prevention and community. We had a really great lived experience segment that focused on 2 different generations, a younger and someone who was there at the very beginning of HIV, and the correlations of like what has changed, but yet what still is the same about the stigma and the shame and the fear. So it was very empowering, and then obviously tying in what the HIV epidemic has in correlation to this COVID, and the health of the community and how this all fits together. So it was a very effective campaign that we did. You can see those videos on our YouTube channel, the World AIDS Day Pinellas, or Pinellas World AIDS Day channel. It'll be in the link, but yeah, you can see those videos, and we talked case management. We talked about all the aspects of it, but at the end, we just wanted to get people aware of what is going on, and then asking them now what can they do with that knowledge and information, how they can get involved.
Awesome. But I love that, again, that you guys are active and, bringing the community forth and things like that. I do want to ask in a stage point of view, what advice you guys would give to individuals. So I want to state, maybe what advice would you give to an individual that is curious about being tested? What info would you give or motivation would you give to an individual that, recently may have been tested positive? And what motivation would you give to someone who's been positive and kind of down? So kind of like three different stages. What would you guys say in those?
Those are, I think, definitely three different conversations, three different tones. To encourage people to get tested, I tell people to look at it as like, you have the power of your health, non-value spirit. And I think to give yourself a peace of mind and just knowing, like a lot of people have a fear because of the uncertainty or like what it is for you one time, and it's more comforting, I think, to know your status than to have the questions of what or why did I or to go. So I would say, step out and be that it's not a predestined. Not like back in the days when people were living long and healthy lives today, regardless of the outcome, you still will be able to live your life. So I encourage people to make it happen. For the peace of mind of knowing, definitely make it happen.
Yeah, for some of the first time, when I'm out testing in the field, I always kind of congratulate the person, especially if they're the first test. There's almost like this excitement that I get for them because this is their very first step in wanting to take control of their sexual health. So I always commend them for like, hey, this is your first time, and then let's just keep doing this, in the future. So one of the main questions I ask people is, okay, what brought you in today? So I know you don't just wake up one day and like, I'm gonna get an HIV test. Right. That's not. I wish that was a thing, but there's a reason that people have been, that are getting tested. Either you got that phone call, or worry, or something, but it's on the radar. So I want to make it as comfortable as possible. So understanding why they're getting tested, letting them know that okay, great, this is what you're doing for your health. I think this is really good. It's easy too. I mean, the results. The test. You get your results in a minute.
That was going to be my next question. Yes. The results. Okay.
Yeah. So it takes really a minute to
painless.
The finger prick.
It's free.
It's always it's free. So like I know these at-home kits and that you get at the drugstore, but now there's organizations that can give you at-home kits. So it's free. It's accessible. You shouldn't have to pay for it. You'll get some free condoms out of it too for later on. So So it shouldn't. It's going to be the longest minute of your life, yes. But the peace of mind, as Shaquira was saying, of knowing your status, so then now you can move on from there, So that's kind of the first step, I would say.
Definitely. And for someone who is recently or newly diagnosed, I will speak for Zero Pills and saying that our testers and we're very about making sure immediately, very supportive and kind of handholding people throughout that process. Because it's a lot to process and deal with, and people react very differently experience. But I think it's encouraging to know, we are going to help take care of the best capable. Whether that's health, mental health, physical health, what social determinants of health are depending on how you live in your lifestyle. Our case managers are working with people, they're going to the doctor appointment with them, Ubering them to appointments, you need food, you have food pantries, you need support groups, you have housing doctors. We want to get you to a stable place where then you can really just focus on your health. I think that's the most encouraging part about where we are at.
That's beautiful, because I was going to ask, well, how does the mental health, play within the revealing of statuses that may not always be in a positive light. But being that you guys are able to provide those resources as far as housing, support groups, advocates to go to the doctor's office. That is amazing. So, like you said, that person and that individual can focus on their well-being, on their health. Awesome.
Hey, what was the third one?
And the third one was for someone that's been dealing with their status for a while and trying to just find different ways to kind of stay motivated and stay positive.
Yeah.
It correlates to what we were talking about earlier, the case management. If you have all these different factors are affecting someone who is living with HIV. So we want to be able to get that person to, that point where, okay, that's not a worry anymore. You have the medication, you have access to it. You're at a level now that you're undetectable. The virus is so suppressed in your body that you cannot pass that on to somebody else. Okay, so now let's worry about, the food situation, like making sure that you're seeing your doctor on a regular basis. So maintaining that healthy lifestyle that's healthy for you, and just being able for you now to be comfortable knowing that, okay, you will be living with HIV for the rest of your life, but you will be living, and this is how we're living now. So really getting into that care and the services that are offered, because I think most people don't realize that there are all these services, for anyone who is positive. Great.
And those services, and correct me if I'm wrong, but those services are for anyone from any background speaking, from any sexual orientation speaking. You are able to get those resources.
Uninsured, anybody. There are programs, there are cost assistance programs, there's so many things that are out there. But I think that sometimes people lack the information and don't know where to start. So it's important that sometimes you have to do the work for yourself, or finding a person who you trust and talk to about it, get that information. But once you do, you kind of open up a new door to like, oh, wow, they have this, they have that, they have so many different opportunities. But I think it's taking that first step, being encouraged to do so, and saying like, okay, I know I have this, I have to deal with it, and I need to.
Asking for help is always that hard first step, but that's why we're here. And organizations like us are here to make sure that we can get you in that right direction.
Absolutely, because I'm sure after you make that first step, that is the hardest, and most it's a breeze after that. Absolutely. From a statistics standpoint, over the last 5 to 10 years, how has the numbers of testing and cases, can we reflect on that, how they may have changed within the last decade?
Okay, decade, I can't really speak to. Last 5 years, I can speak to. So I will say that there has been like a roller coaster looking curve, if that makes sense. So like at one point there was a down peak, and now we're seeing a rise. Probably 2016, 2017 data where there was a decrease that was happening. But now, and I'm speaking on Florida when I say this, now we're seeing another upward rise. And the disproportion rate is changing. So now you see that basically, like even right here, like 45% of our new diagnoses in 2019 were white, 36% were black. But blacks only make up 18% of Pinellas County population. So if close to 40% of black people are being affected by HIV, that looks completely different than 45% of white people being diagnosed. So I think it's important to see it from that lens, because by that time it's bad because there's still technically whites are the most newly diagnosed, but they make up most of the population. So that for blacks to be second and not make up, nowhere near close to half of the population of Pinellas County, that is the issue. Why is this happening? How do we help to see this as an issue? First, I would say that. And then as far as you said, data and numbers with the change testing, I think we kind of talked about this. So we have at-home test kits now. We have rapid testing. There's so many ways to get tested now. Even if you don't want to prick, they can do an oral swab. But they're just testing is now like a new version of iPhone every year. Like it's just new. It's something new. So I will say that has kind of skyrocketed where it is in the opportunity for testing. So that was 5 years ago. Now we have all these different options. yes, by touch yourself. Like, it is, yeah.
And also the most important thing is now there is a pill out there that can prevent HIV. So that's what kind of changed in the past, really 5 years. So it's called PrEP, it's pre-exposure prophylactic. So now, and I mean, out in the community, we call it birth control. HIV. So it's like so someone who is negative can take this pill, and and really, depending on the body, but within a month, is that you can be basically resistant towards the HIV virus. So if it does come into your body, you have enough immunity built up where it cannot replicate in it. So this is great for anyone who has a negative status, and if they are with someone who is positive. It's great for relationships where it's positive, negative. It's great for someone who wants to just take that stress out of. I have multiple partners, or I don't use condoms as much as I should. So here's something that is out there now that I can use that is free and accessible. And the doctor's prescription, but that's where organizations like us come in, so that we can get you this access so that you can live your life.
Now, there is, again, going back to stigmas, there's a huge stigma of contracting HIV and AIDS through sex and intercourse, or, specifically. But there are other ways, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what are those other ways that you can contract the virus?
So those who use intravenous drugs, so share needles, share needles definitely are that is probably 5%. It said 5 and 3%, so 8% of our actually I take that back, 7%. 7% of the males who contracted HIV in 2019 and 5% of the females was from drugs. It wasn't through sexual intercourse. So that's why now you'll probably see a lot of syringe exchange programs beginning to start, because needles are an issue. But if you can't get rid of the drugs, you get the drugs off the streets. At least you can give people safe needles to use if they're going to use drugs to prevent HIV. So that's something that's maybe developing in the area soon. And then,
pregnancy, mother to child. But you did touch on the point that that HIV is a sexually transmitted. It's by blood only. So back in the day where people were coughing on us, mosquitoes, something like that. Like we now know that. However, that's still some information that while being out of the community, there are still some people there are misconceptions on HIV. Transmitting it and quote cures for it, so that's still out there. That's what we're still educating people on. But most importantly, yes, that it is sexually, it is through blood, bodily fluids such as blood and semen and vaginal fluids, and mother to child, if they're nursing. So yeah.
How soon is too soon to have a conversation with individuals about HIV and AIDS awareness?
According to Pinellas County, that's not a part of the school system currently, which that's not really
sex education
within the curriculum. It's not as comprehensive as it could be. So that's just my piece on that. But I'm not sure I can tell a person when they should have that conversation about their child. But I will make it known that you can get tested when you're 13 without a parent's consent. So you're 13 and sexually active, you can come get tested. So my answer would then be at least 12 or 13, you need to be having these conversations, because we're having kids come in who are getting tested, who are sexually active, and who are contracting HIV at an early age. So it's important, I think, that people, when they're comfortable, to have those on, but also destigmatize the whole birds and bees conversation. Like, no, we understand that children are sexually active a lot earlier than they have been previously. And even previously they were, it just was more hidden. Now it's more out there, and people make it seem like it's just so taboo, and it's not. If your child is going to be doing that, you want them to be safe about it. You want them to be sure that they're protected. I don't think they're too early. But once they're really comprehend and understand what it is about the body that's happening.
Absolutely agree. like you said, things are happening nowadays a little bit quicker, and if you're susceptible to STDs and things like that, you're obviously, susceptible to the virus, So I think that that's very, very important. What do you think would be the appropriate time frame or rotation to have tests in? Like if I'm someone that wants to get tested and just, be sure and have, like you said, Topher earlier, that peace of mind, how often should I get tested?
So it depends upon sexual health and your sexual practices, but CDC recommends once a year. I believe so. Am I saying that right?
Once a year, and even
sexually active.
every
6 months.
Even like going to the dentist, twice a year. And as you were saying, it really depends on what type of activity you're doing. I mean, if you're the type of person who's always using condoms, then you don't necessarily have to get tested. Now if the condom broke, or if there's one time that you didn't use a condom, then yes, you should go and get tested. What is that window period? 2 weeks. So if there has been unprotected sexual activity, you get tested, at least wait 2 weeks until you get tested to get a sure result. Yeah. Now, that could cover, how many partners previously prior before, but if there was that one incident 2 weeks ago that you're worried about, then you'll know that will cover all of that. But as I said, the results come in about a minute. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. So yeah, about twice a year would be the safest thing,
But if you are a person who has multiple partners and don't use condoms, more like you probably need to come in a lot more often than that, and you probably look at friends.
Exactly right. You would be a great person to talk about.
There are people who come in monthly and just do the thing. It's also, we're not going to turn anyone away. There's unlimited amount of time to test.
Partner testing. If someone's about to enter a new relationship, I always encourage it. Like, hey, let's just, let's air. Right, exactly, right. So we've had partners. We have had couples come in, getting new relationships. Which is fun and exciting to be like, oh, this is great that you're doing this and you're having that conversation. So yeah, it's very important.
Don't make the assumption. I'd rather have the results, have the conversation, and normalize having that conversation. So you need a person. First day you're not saying like, hey, HIV positive or negative, but if you guys are going to be intimate and sexually active, it should be okay to have that.
Right. And even people who have been in long-term relationships. At the end of the day, I always tell people that, it's like wearing a seatbelt in the car, you may be the best, safest driver in the whole world, but you don't know about that idiot that's on their phone or maybe around you, So you're only accountable for yourself.
Right, yeah.
And so you know where you've been, you know what you've done, that's all you can account for.
I think with that, people always say, well, my partner's I don't trust them. Then it's like, no, it's not about that. It's just, and when you go for a physical annually, you may not have to go every 3 or 6 months like people who may have multiple partners, but include that in your blood work, just for the peace of mind, just to make sure you guys are okay. Nobody isn't stepping out, because we've had clients, at one of our agencies who were married and faithful, and, the partner then has stepped out and we're stepping out constantly, and they never knew until they got sick, and they're in the hospital and not being told that they're HIV positive. So it's like, you hate to be in a position like that, honestly. Like, yes, it can be avoidable if you make sure
Gotcha. So that kind of piggybacks on the next question I have. I know you just mentioned as far as ending up in the hospital and wondering why. What are some of the symptoms of an untreated person that may have HIV?
Okay, so I guess it looks different. It will look different. One, how long they've had it and not known. So it progresses over time. Okay. So HIV is the virus itself, but it then turns into AIDS if you don't. So that's how people get AIDS. So it's only because of HIV first. It's basically. So it would look different. Some people go in with flu-like symptoms, and it's just. But everybody's like, you can have flu-like symptoms of anything. Yeah. So it's like, you don't want to be like, oh, I had a cough today. No. I don't think of that. Pneumonia-like symptoms, it can look different. It can be, lesions on the skin sometimes. I'm trying to think.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing about HIV, really. That when I'm testing people, I wish I could tell them that, okay, you get X, Y, Z, and you get a blue dot on your head, and that's what's going to. So that's why you have to kind of, look at yourself and be like, okay, Did I have unprotected sex with someone? Was it in a situation that I wasn't quite, like, okay, well, like, you're going to have to kind of think and work backwards that way. Because once it gets to a certain level, yeah, it's like for like symptoms, but we're in an age where, alcohol right now, everything is clear, like, sitting right. So you're going to be like, oh no, like, what is it? So it is one of those things where you're going to have to really look inside yourself to be like, okay, let me do a checklist. Be like, okay, well, this may be a situation where, like, or I put myself at risk, so I need to now cross that off. But yeah.
Definitely understand. So it's just smart to get out there and to find out, absolutely. I know prior in the interview, you guys mentioned a few organizations and partnerships that you guys collaborate with. What are some different organizations that spread the same advocacy as the?
So I would start with our partners, of course. So Epic Impact Partners in Care, they offer full services for those who are HIV positive, as well as they offer free testing, and they do PrEP as their clinic, which is next door to them. Metro Inclusive Health, they also full services for HIV, sexual health, not just say HIV only, sexual health services, as well as PrEP. The AIDS Institute focuses specifically on advocacy. They don't offer actual health services, but they're on the Florida state legislature. They're making sure that the things that are being done in policy are good for those who are living with HIV and strives towards that. AIDS Healthcare Foundation, HF, Parkinson's Abuse billboards everywhere. They are national, but they also offer full services for HIV positive. Who am I missing?
From our consortium, I mean, community-wise, our beloved friends at the Berg Cares have been really great on the ground activism and getting condoms out there and having these conversations. Hopefully, there's also youth programs that really, that help spread the educational methods, as Shaquira was saying. Obviously, they're not getting the education in school, but they can become advocates within their own community through these organizations that will do it. Like, USF has a program, program. Keyboard Youth Clinic. So there are
Department of Health, of course.
Exactly, yes. Department of Health. Exactly.
But then, now something that we're having conversations about getting more churches involved in these conversations. Because people look at, church and specifically your Black churches, how that is core to our belief. Then people find out a lot of things that sometimes are not true in churches, and they create that then steer people away from not wanting to. And people away from feeling like they're going to be local. That's it. And we're trying to have conversations where now churches are aware and educated on how HIV is affecting community, but also are now becoming places where people can even go test it. Like there are some churches who may have clinics and are doing some testing services. So right now the Department of Health has an initiative called Any HIV Epidemic. And they're getting ready to roll out some different programs and faith-based organizations of that. It's one of the pillars. So we want our communities to be involved because it doesn't always have to be or your community parks, your barbershops. Like y'all got kind of the barbershop great, the hair salon. Like somebody you pull the van up and you guys get tested. So we want to be the community where they are. Where it doesn't have to seem like this whole sterile clinical kind of feel, but it's just like this is normal and this is something that's
awesome. So you guys are hearing it first. There are definitely resources out there, people and companies for you guys to reach out to and, get the test done and get the things done that you need to get done and happen.
And we can come to them too. That's the thing. We love these organizations that want to learn more and like even HIV 101 or just, to educate their employees. So for us to be able to come into an organization who is interested in wanting to see how we can partner and collaborate because that's definitely what we love doing. We love having that conversation. We love collaborating, finding those unique ways that we can turn this topic into something, make it educational, good for the community, that everyone can feel that they are a part of and join in on that conversation.
Like today, just being here in this space, I'm sure y'all won't be talking about HIV for a long time, but I hope that you do have the conversation, even if it's not as it comes back, because I think it's important and specific. I'm sure your audience, they probably haven't listened to a radio segment where they're focused specifically as common, but being able to insert ourselves into conversation in spaces where it's still just like real talk, but still education. Yeah, I think it's most important.
Right, yeah. So those listening at home, if you've never been tested before,
Right.
now's a good time. And hey, new year, new you coming up, getting tested.
Yes.
And if you just wanted those resources, if you want condoms around and to be distributed in your community, we have those connections. We can give them to you. So yeah.
We do our shameless plug.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow us.
Yeah.
Like at Zero Pinellas, ZeroPinellas. And we always have information, always posting things that you can definitely use and share out and tell other people.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it, Zero Pinellas. Got all the good stuff going on and the good referrals and information. Is there anything else that you guys have, to share to the community before we head out today?
The World AIDS Day videos. So
Yeah.
please, definitely. So we did a six-part video series that is now on YouTube under Pinellas World AIDS Day. If not, go to Zero Pinellas.
Right.
And on our Instagram, Facebook, all of that, you will find the videos there, and we have shared them. It's just really good. They're short, they're not long, but I think it gives you perspective for people who may not understand HIV. It gives you, the lived experience of people who have HIV. It gives you the experience of those who take care of those with HIV, the prevention on why it's important, and then just us as a community having to all do our part. Working on that post. Like, let's normalize this conversation and let's do our That's the way.
And any health fairs coming up, I know, there's awareness days throughout the year that HIV does. So February is National Black AIDS Awareness Day, March is Women and Girls, and April is Youth. So we have back-to-back. So, but any type of health fair or community event that is going on here locally, we'd love to be a part of. Really get ourselves out there, start that conversation, and just find those fun, creative ways that we can have that conversation, and the edutainment is what we call it.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it here first. I'm again here with the beautiful Shaquira Robinson and Topher Larkin. It has been a lovely evening on Medusa Talk Movements. And y'all, it's a wrap.
AB on the track, yeah.